Hey, good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you about what your story is. And for those of you on Instagram, just to let you know, it's saying it has a poor connection. Who knows? But I'm going to follow through on this because I had a, an epiphany this morning, if you will. I oftentimes wait for something to motivate me or inspire me or to give me that push to want to do things. And I realize it's not really about that push to want to do things. It has to be you taking the initiative for forward movement. So then I started to ask myself, yes, I was having a conversation with myself. I started to ask myself whether or not I have any reason to want to just go forward with things, with ideas, with with anything of substance, if you will, just on my own initiative. And I had to stop because I don't think we take the time to question or give ourselves due credit about how inspirational our story is, about how much power we have in and of ourselves. And I'm a person of faith, so I know that God has done things for me to be able to tell my story to other people and hopefully encourage them through what it is that I've gone through. But why can't I take my own story and encourage myself for the things that I've gone through? So I started to think on some things, and a couple of things I want to share today specifically or right now. And I'll probably come back to other things that have inspired me. But I often overlook the amount of strength that I have. And I say it like that strength that I have, as in, you have to have strength to have gotten through whatever it is you have gotten through. Do you give yourself enough credit? What is your story? What have you survived that quite possibly someone else may not have been able to survive? What have you gotten through that someone else may have given up already and said, you know what, I'm not even going to do this? How many times have you found yourself having a lot of determination and going the extra mile to continue to figure it out? And a lot of times we don't even say of ourselves that, you know what, I did a good job. You know what, I hung in there. Because we overlook that, thinking that everyone else has done a better job than what we have, or a better job than what we can do. So I want to share a couple of things. And this is my story, but I want you to think about, what is your story? What have you gone through? So the first thing I that came to mind was a suicide attempt that I had, that I remember being in so much pain and being so disappointed in not being able to accomplish things the way that I thought it should work out. I literally sat on the ground with pills in my hand. In my hand, I had already taken them out of the bottle, and I had made a phone call to my mother, and I had said goodbye, and I was flustered and frustrated and willing to throw in the towel. And I sat there. Just as an aside, you'll hear shooting around because I live out in the country. People are shooting. Back to the story. Okay, so I sat there and was willing to give up. And for a while, as I sat there, I thought about the people that I have impacted. That's what actually got me to stop, was thinking of the people that would miss me. And it wasn't that I would not have missed anyone else. It wasn't that I wasn't important enough to think that I have some purpose in this life, but it was more that I thought about my nieces and my nephew who were, gosh, I think they were 4, 5, and 6, possibly, possibly 3, 4, and 7. I don't know. They were old enough to know that Auntie would have been gone. And I remember making the decision. I made the conscious decision to put the pills away. Out of whatever pain I was going through, I was out of a job. I had just moved into a house and they had started foreclosure proceedings on it because I had not paid because I was out of a job. And the multiple sclerosis that I had been diagnosed with a year prior was getting worse. I couldn't make it up the stairs to my room. I had been in a wheelchair off and on. Things did not look like they were going to go my way. And as far as I was concerned, they weren't going to go my way ever. So I had decided, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. But in that moment of having the pills in my hand, being ready to drink it, having said goodbye already, I changed my mind. I changed my mind, meaning that there are people that there are other people out there who may be in the same situation, who may think, you know what, it's just not worth it. The pain is too much. This isn't what I expected. I wish I had more. I wish life was had dealt me better cards. And every once in a while, even though I'm going to change this over to here, even though it's not what we thought it would be, we make the decision to go on. We make the decision to keep it moving. And although we might not know what tomorrow brings, we've made the decision to see it through anyway. I'm still here, and that shows strength. And I don't ever look at it like that because I don't give myself, that kind of credit for that. But this morning I thought about it and I was like, you know what? You've gone through a lot. And it's not things that everybody can make it through. And you've made it through it. Give yourself the credit that you deserve. What is your story? Another instance that I had was, I'm looking at like which one do I want to say. The last one that I'll talk about is having to deal with a divorce and the death of a cousin. It was a very close cousin. I mean, he was someone that I would call and talk to whenever I was going through whatever situation. We had this connection, and I would be able to call him about anything. And the day that my husband had asked for a divorce, and I'll say he did ask first before I found out that that cousin was in hospice. The pain that I felt my heart go through, I literally felt like my heart was broken because it was bad enough I thought I wasn't enough because I had multiple sclerosis and had to leave my job and wasn't able to make the income that I would have made when I first got married. But the person that I would call to tell that, hey, My husband just asked for a divorce. He was sick, and he was really sick, and he was in hospice. And that was enough to take me out. But I had to be there for him. I had to be there for my aunt, for my cousin. I had to think beyond myself. Guys, in the midst of my partner telling me that he wanted a divorce, I had to think beyond myself. I had to gather up my things. I had to pack up my apartment. I had to make sure that I moved back to my parents. I still had to go and visit my cousin, which I was going to do anyway. And even with all that said, even with all that pain, I still survived. At that time, I had not thought about suicide, and I struggle a lot with mental health. And I've had a couple of times when I have struggled with suicidal thoughts. I had not thought about that. I I spoke, I believe I spoke at my cousin's funeral. I did speak at my cousin's funeral. I did whatever I needed to do to get through the situation. We don't give ourselves enough credit for being able to get through situations and circumstances that other people are not able to get through. What is your story? What have you gotten through? What power do you have? And you're not even willing to give yourself credit for. We have so much power in what we've gone through and who we are and the God that we serve and where he's taken us, that if we don't start taking the time to consider that, we go looking for it in all these different places, that it might not be enough to find it in someone else, the very thing that we're looking for, because it's actually right in front of you. So, again, I want to ask you, what is your story? What is it that you have in you that you have not recognized, given credit to, and things of that nature? You are empowered because you are still here, because you've gotten through exactly what it is that you've had to get through, and you're still here.